The Department of Human Services has garnered troubling headlines over the last months, prompting lawmakers to review how that agency and other agencies are spending taxpayer money. Senate Finance Chair Julie Rosen joins me now to offer her assessment of the budget forecast and what steps lawmakers can take to ensure fiscal integrity among state agencies. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Shannon. It's great to be here.
Let's begin with the budget forecast projected to be $1.3 billion. Not to mention the budget reserve now has reached $2.3 billion, which was its target. Is this good news to you?
Oh, this is very good news. I believe the budget reserve and having a nice cash balance and a healthy surplus means that we are doing some proper things in Minnesota. We have a low debt service. We have a pension reform bill that was outstanding. We've done some stress testing on our revenue. We need to do some stress testing on our spending. So we've done some good precautionary things. I'd like to actually thank Senator Skoye and Senator Cohen for that budget reserve concept of 33% of any surplus needs to go into a surplus, and it's a great mechanism, and we've utilized that very well. So we're at the very highest that we've ever been, and I think it's a good space, but we shouldn't be thinking that we're going to go spending a lot of money or get very crazy with our budget. It's not the time to do that.
In remarks following the forecast, you pointed out that there was a 6.6% increase in the budget last year. The forecast does not, in most instances, account for inflation. So we have a surplus, but there will be inflation. Would you like to see this change happen in the budget forecast where inflation is calculated in so that, you know, if it looks like we have a surplus, there's the understanding that that's not free money to be spent, that really, you know, once you calculate for inflation, it's not so big?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it's a concept that we can look at, but I don't believe that things should be on autopilot. And frankly, if it was a concept that should have been done, the Democrats could have done that back in 13-14 when they had the governor in the House and the Senate. So I think just it gives us the ability to really take a good look at our budget going forward, and I would like to keep it the way it is.
But in general, going forward, you're cautious, but you're satisfied with the fiscal health of the state right now.
I am, because as I said, we have a lot of good things going for us. We have a mixed industrial manufacturing market. I think that's strong. We have low unemployment, lower than the United States average, and you know, we have some a strong workforce. We are doing the proper things when it comes to education, but we do have some problems, and I don't think we need to increase any of our obligations on more fixed costs, any more new programs. Let's take up care of the responsibilities that we have. And we really need to start asking our agencies, our departments, to really come forward with the accountability on what they are spending. And we keep talking about this, but it's time to demand it now. There's going to be a lot more arguing. Whenever you have a surplus, there's a lot more arguing than when there's a deficit.
Right, and you're jumping into my very next question, which is, you know, as chair of the Finance Committee, you've said that there's going to be a deep dive into all agency spending to see where the money is going. You held a hearing last month following the news that the Department of Human Services had more than 200 violations of contract law within the last year. So before we get into more details, what did you take away from that hearing?
Oh, that it was... I am appalled when I go to the gas station, and the number one thing is, please don't give me a gas tax. And the number two thing is, what is going on at the Capitol with the Department of Human Services? These are average working people, and they are attuned to what's happening with this agency. And I'm frankly, and we are all frankly, fatigued at this upheaval that they've shown. They are unaccountable for many areas. I'm hoping Commissioner Harpstead can tear it apart and pull it back together, but it is there's actually about $130.5 million of unaccounted money that DHS has to pay back or has had some problems with and has to pay back to the federal government. $130.5 million. What can we do with that money? You think about that. And this is just one of the mistakes. So every morning you wake up and you go, what else is going to happen with DHS? And we found from that hearing in the Senate Finance Committee that the state contract and the way they allocate money is a problem in all the other agencies. So there's a very much of a shoot from the hip kind of attitude towards state money, state taxpayers' money. And that's a problem. So I'm going to be asking, and the chairs will be asking, for more accountability. Can you show us the results? And are you spending the dollars well that come from the Minnesota taxpayers?
And so from your vantage point as finance chair, you want this to be an ongoing conversation, not just with the Department of Human Services, but with all state agencies.
Absolutely.
Just please explain how you're spending money and account for it.
Can you do it better? Can you join forces? How are you spending it with federal dollars coming in or county dollars coming in? Is there a collaboration? I always call it the big white board sitting in Health and Human Services. We have no idea how many programs there are and what type of funding is coming to those programs, and can we do better than what we have? Some pay for performance ideas. You get the money after you show that you have had some results that you said you were going to deliver. So there's a lot of different concepts, but frankly, I passed a pay for performance bill, and it never has been implemented back in 2012. And that's a problem too. We have some great initiatives on the books in law, and especially Department of Human Services has not implemented them, and it's getting to be a problem.
Just a couple other questions I have for you. You're talking about overpayments. There were overpayments of federal dollars in the Department of Human Services for substance abuse treatment that went to 2 tribes and also to the counties. State law currently asks the state to claw back those dollars. The counties say they can't afford it. The tribes also can't afford it, and both are saying we did nothing wrong. First, should that clawback provision be changed? And second, do you think the surplus money that we have currently would be a good use to put towards this problem?
Well, I'm going to be very cautious about expectations on where to spend the surplus money. That is not the finance chair's job, is to say what it should be allocated for, except I'd probably like to save more. But I do agree with the tribes. It was not their fault. And I do believe that there should be some assistance, and it should come out of the budget of the Department of Human Services and not from the state coffers or the taxpayers. As the author of the opioid bill, the Native American tribes have been decimated with some substance abuse issues. And so we need to help them as much as we possibly can, but just letting Department of Human Services off on this, I cannot support that.
For some time, there's been talk of splitting up the Department of Human Services. You've suggested also that the Inspector General's office should not be under DHS, but should be separated. The current new commissioner, DHS Commissioner Harpstead, told a key House committee that Governor Walz will have a plan or offer some suggestions in coming days, but she's concerned that splitting the department won't necessarily bring cost savings. What is your perspective?
And I understand there is something coming out at the end of the week from the governor, so I'm anxious to maybe get a heads up early. That would be nice. My perspective is that it's not necessarily about cost savings. It's about integrity and doing the job right and showing some accountability. If there's cost savings in the end, that's wonderful, but we need to be able to have a department that people can depend on, believe in, and that are showing results. And if it costs money, so be it.
Senator Rosen, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Always. Thank you very much, Shannon.